Hello friends, welcome back to Honey Acres Homestead. This video is a goat update video. We have been put through the ringer these last 2 weeks. We've been on an emotional roller coaster with our goats. We've had some very bad, sad things that have happened, some good things that have happened, and it's ultimately going to affect our plans in the future. And also we have learned some lessons that I was hoping to share with you if you also have decided to raise goats. So let's talk about what these last 2 weeks have looked like here on Honey Acres Homestead. Now, if you've watched some of our videos in the past, you may have noticed that we raise registered Boer goats. Boer goats are a meat goat, and with the price of meat across the board on the rise, goat meat is no exception. And we decided, well, let's raise Boer goats. We were already raising dairy goats, and we thought that Boer goats could be a great way to bring in some income to our homestead. So Boer goats, registered Boer goats especially, go for quite a pretty penny. We have been to several auctions where we have purchased some of our goats, and it's very common for goats to go over $10,000 for one goat. We've seen them go as high as $15,000 in person, and we know of goats that have sold for over $50,000 for one goat. Raising Boer goats, if you are successful, can be a very lucrative way to make money raising animals and farming. So there's the draw for us. We wanted to be able to bring some money into the homestead, doing something that we were kind of already doing in raising our dairy goats. So we've been raising Boer goats for a couple years now. Now, when you're raising goats, especially high quality goats, the most important goat on your farm is the buck. It's the sire, the one that you breed all of your does to, because every baby that's born is going to be half of that goat, half of that sire. So that buck's genetics are going to be all over your farm. So you want to choose a buck that's really going to improve the stock that you have, make your line better, and that's just a really important thing to consider when you're raising animals in general. So we decided that we would buy a buck several months back named Cousin Eddie. We introduced him here to you on the channel several months ago. We were very excited about him. He came from a very reputable breeder. He just looked like he was going to be great and really help us improve our goats here on our homestead. We got him here after we asked the seller, is he healthy? Has he been tested for different diseases? And we were assured, yeah, he's healthy. I've tested my whole herd. Everybody's clean. So we said, okay, we'll buy him. We'll bring him here. Well, when you have goats, when you're buying goats, it's really important to ask that question, because there are some diseases that can be very detrimental to the animal and also are contagious and can spread on your farm. You do not want them on your farm. Those three diseases for goats, the main ones are CAE, which is a type of arthritis, CL, which is kind of a bacterial infection that cannot be treated, and another disease called Johne's disease, which is it's basically a wasting away disease, and it's incurable. So we brought Eddie here, and we trusted the seller, which is a big no-no, as we have found out. We paid $5,500 for him, and we put him with our does, and we noticed after a month or so that he really was not thriving. He was losing weight. He just wasn't looking happy and healthy. We were giving him lots of good food, wasn't doing well. We called the vet out. She tested him for these diseases just to rule things out, and lo and behold, he was positive not only for CL but also for Johne's disease. When we contacted the seller and said, hey, you told us he was healthy, he said, oops, I didn't know. And that was about the end of that. So We've known this for months. We knew that Cousin Eddie would have to be separated immediately, and we decided to just kind of let him live out his life as long as it would be, as we knew that the Johne's disease would eventually just cause him to lose a lot of weight, and ultimately he would die from that. So we put him off and we took care of him and just said, well, he can live here until his time comes. And his time came the beginning of last week. He had lost a lot of weight, got sick, and went down, and we lost him. That was very sad. When we found out that Cousin Eddie was sick, we started looking for another buck. We got another buck, and we were so excited about him. We were saying, at least we have him, and when Cousin Eddie died, at least we have this other buck. We can continue breeding our goats, continue our goat program here. And he was happy, healthy, thriving, loving life. And then at the end of last week, he suddenly just went down, started having seizures, lost control of his body, and before you know it, he couldn't breathe, and we lost him as well. That was a shocker. He was healthy. And after we looked into what could have caused that, we finally came to the conclusion that it was a new foe that we've never seen before called meningeal worm. This amazing creature attacks the brain and nervous system of the goat and causes brain damage and death. So we basically lost both of our herd sires in 1 week. And it was absolutely devastating. Not only financially is that a huge loss, but emotionally it was really hard. So I actually started filming a video last week saying, we're done with boar goats. We can't handle it anymore. It's too much emotional stress, and we just can't take it. We're gonna be done. We can't, because now we have no sire. We have no way to breed our female does, no way to continue our goat program. We would have to start all over again, and we didn't really feel like doing that. So that was last week. It was rough. Well, this week we had 3 does that were due. They were due yesterday, and now we have little babies. I'm telling you, when you're raising goats, this is exactly what it's like. You have these losses, the pain, the stress, the trying to save sick animals, and you just feel exhausted. You're just done. You're spent. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you have like a bright moment like this where you have these little babies that are born, and just these new little lives, and just a ray of hope. So all this to say, we might not be done with boar goats. Time heals a lot, and ultimately raising boar goats might still be a good option for us here on our homestead, but we'll see. We still do have to buy a new sire if we're going to continue raising boar goats, and that's not exactly cheap, and it's hard to find. Sometimes it can be hard to find the right one that you're looking for. So I will have to let you know when our hearts settle a little bit and we get some clear minds what we decide to do. But I just wanted to let you know what our boar goat situation, what our goat situation was like these last 2 weeks. And the lesson that we learned from this is do not trust anybody, because even though we were assured that Cousin Eddie was healthy, he most certainly was not. And he actually was housed with some younger bucks for a very short period of time before we had him tested and knew he was sick, and he passed CL onto almost all of them. So we now have to say goodbye to those goats as well. So it was just overall a huge disaster. Lesson learned. Always do your own testing. Unless the person has some recent paperwork showing that the goat is negative, don't trust them. Learn from our mistake there. Anyway, that is just an update here from Honey Acres Homestead. The baby goats are super cute. They're doing well so far. They were born early this morning. Didn't get much sleep, but it's worth it when you have healthy baby goats at the end of it. We still have one goat that is due, and we just keep checking on her. So hopefully she also has a healthy, safe delivery. Thank you for spending this time with us here at Honey Acres Homestead, and we'll see you next time.